Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. To help keep this podcast free for you, we're partnering with Stoke Seeds. More than just a listing of vegetable and flower seeds, the Stoke Seeds website is a complete resource center with valuable information on seed starting, planting, and harvesting, plus all the garden accessories you need to make your garden the envy of the neighborhood. Now, pre-order your free 2017 gardening guide today from stokeseeds.com, cultivating successful growers for generations. We'll have more to come from Stoke Seeds in the next few weeks. For now, on to today's question. We get a little bit of extra time because there's not so much going on, so we can talk a little bit about what you always like to see Santa Claus leave under your tree. In other words, gifts for gardeners.
Gifts for gardeners is exactly right. And it helps resolve many a problem to families. Not every family has a gardener, of course, but at the same time, grandpa, grandma, aunts and uncles and so on that have any interest in gardening opens up a whole range of, we'll call it easy gifts. And by that meaning that it's not many things you can find for under $10. There are a few things, and you can go to 1,000, 2 or 3 with a big mower that the family goes together on. But let's just talk in general about what I call good hand tools. There are a number of kinds of hand pruners. Some are ergonomic. Well, they all try to be, but some are more than that. Some are large jawed, where you can cut up to probably 3/4 of an inch in diameter. I carry into the garden almost every time I go out a smaller pair that I don't think would open up more than about 3/8 of an inch. But for the nipping and so on that I do under those circumstances, they're perfectly ideal. Sharp as a razor, and they are what I call a bypass. They work like a scissor, where one blade is stationary and the other one goes down by it and shears things off. I try to avoid, unless it's a plant that I'm going to more or less dispose of, I try to avoid the ones that are anvil type, where you have a blade and then the second blade comes down and just punches straight down. That, for the most part, crushes too much tissue. But then we go ahead.
No.
Well, we go to the next thing that cuts, and that's a good pair of loppers. Now, loppers are of many kinds, again, from relatively inexpensive, probably $25, on up to $125 for those that are double-jawed and et cetera, et cetera. But for the average gardener, one or both sizes of hand pruners and a pair of loppers that have longer handles and can take a branch, depending on their kind, but an inch and a quarter in diameter of fresh wood, not dry wood. And then you go to the next step, and that's just a darn good saw. I happen to stick with, I have one, I call it an open-bladed saw, and I have 2 that are fold-outs that I can stick in a back pocket, take out in the garden, and get into a cut that even the loppers won't handle. So that in one back pocket, you can have a folding saw and either of the kinds of or sizes of hand pruners, and then you can carry the loppers along. And the main thing of all of these is a good, clean cut. And all of that can be done with a good pair of shears and a good pair of gardening shears. And by that meaning good steel and well made and so on, could last a person a lifetime if they don't leave it lay out in the rain. And I know somebody that did that one time, but those things.
I don't know who that would be.
They carry their own penalty and so on. But then we go to the next thing, and that is many gardeners are seeking a greater education. Now, I don't think any of us ever determine everything that can be learned about plants. I just don't know that that's possible. But there are what I call the coffee table books, which people like to peruse because they show such great beauty in a planting that's probably anywhere from at least 3 years of age on up to maybe 30 years, where it's been well taken care of. It's kind of like good wine. The longer and better it's aged, the better looking a landscape is. But you do have to keep up along the way, because plants don't know to stop. They don't know that they're dwarfs necessarily. They don't know they're supposed to grow broader than tall, etc. So we have to help them a little bit. My mentor, Dr. Chadwick, always said, well, you got to trim them hard to keep them typical.
Yeah.
Well, as it goes. And then the books in terms of instruction. There are books on vines, books on trees, books on everything, and what a wonder that is. Because when I was a student, several years ago, we had very specific class type books, but there were no, I call them popular garden books. Lots of authors have come along now and gained their own wisdom and now write about it and make it easy for you to understand what pruning to an outside bud is.
Would that include Tree and Shrub Gardening for Ohio by Fred Hauer, which is available at some fine bookstores, even though it's no longer in print?
Indeed, that is the case. But it's becoming more difficult to find it, I'm told.
Yeah, you mean Tree and Shrub Gardening for Ohio by Fred Hauer?
Yeah.
That's available still at some fine bookstores?
Well, I've been told I should take my original copy and put it in a bank vault.
Yeah, because people ask for it all the time. And but it's interesting because you talk about gifts for gardeners. I think the best, and this is still one of the best gifts I have ever received. My wife does not enjoy, well, how do I put this? She does not enjoy distemperate language.
Okay.
She doesn't curse, and she doesn't like to hear it. So she bought me these big, thick leather gardening gloves a few years ago. And I tell you what, for trimming the barberry, that's just about the best thing I've ever had. And it certainly has cut down on the blue haze.
Yes.
That follows me around when I do that.
Well, and it probably has cut down on the inevitability of a barberry spine going into your finger and breaking off the last 64th of an inch, leaving it there to fester. I can turn the air blue on that one, too. And I'm glad you have the gloves now.
Fred's to-do list is up next. Stick with us.
Hello, human. This is a Mountain Dew ad, and we're about to crank things up in this booth. For starters, I don't like my voice. Let's change it. You, get in here.
All right. Somebody, hand me some maracas. That's it. Dew guy, drop a beat.
How's this?
Mountain Doodly Doo, yeah.
HR department, start chanting. I just got goosies. Keep it going. Lady in the corner, what do you do? Terrifying. I love it. Wizard, summon a storm. Toss in a bucket of snakes. It's like a freaky spa up here. Jim, smack yourself with a fish. It's the most beautiful sound that has ever been. If you've got a mouth and a brain, crack open a Mountain Dew and reward your gullet with that bold citrus kick. Until next time, do the dew.
Unleash your refreshing citrus kick with Mountain Dew. Visit a store near you and pick up all your favorite Mountain Dew products. Mountain Dew exhilarates and quenches with its one-of-a-kind great taste. Mountain Dew. Do the dew.
Hey, thanks again for listening to today's podcast. If you have any questions for Fred, go ahead and email us at fred@planttalkradio.com. And for the best selection of vegetable, flower, and herb seeds available, go to www.stokeseeds.com. Pre-order your free 2017 gardening guide today from stokeseeds.com, cultivating successful growers for generations.